So most coaches don't get the kind of news that you did at the end of this season with your quarterback, 2 running backs, everybody coming back. What was that like?
Yeah, so the challenge really was trying to meet with those guys and their families and their representatives in between our games, right? Because these decisions needed to be made, so that was challenging. But then, I think like a lot of times there's momentum. One guy came back, and I think that impacted the next guy to come back. So I think that was helpful. Just being totally transparent, I think this is one of the benefits of NIL. Because in the old days, you'd sit down and you'd advise a player that the data says they should come back to school, but they'd have to come back to school for nothing. So this takes some of that pressure off where they can just make the best decision and not feel like they are pressured into leaving early because financially their family needs them to. So that was a positive for us as well. And then I think also a little bit of unfinished business the way the season ended.
Did anyone need convincing, or were they just like, no, we want to come back and chase a title?
I think it was probably a little bit of both, because I think most probably wanted to come back and were open to coming back once their draft grades maybe weren't as high as they would like. And then after that, are we able to make it, make sense for both parties? So it worked out. It worked out really well, and like you mentioned, we were fortunate to get a bunch of production, really good players, really good people back that also have the opportunity to increase their educational experience.
So let's talk about those 3 guys on offense and what it means to bring back Drew Aller, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton as a unit. What does that do for you?
Well, I think production. I think the offensive line is a big part of that. I think that made it very desirable for the running backs to come back, knowing that 4 of our 5 starting offensive linemen would be back. Obviously, whether it's major college football or the NFL, the quarterback position is obviously a pivotal piece. So once he came back, I think that helped it too. But I also think it's their respect for our tight end room. I think it's their respect for the developing wide receiver room. I think it's all of that. I think it's the defensive coordinator hire. I think all these things kind of factored into it as well. But obviously it gives us something that we can hang our hat on, knowing that we have that type of production coming back at those positions.
How do Katron and Nick play off each other and play together?
What's interesting is I think a lot of schools sell that you're going to be the guy. And if you really look at a lot of the data and talk to a lot of the NFL GMs, a lot of times that can be a negative with these backs that are carrying it, probably too much and not a whole lot of wear left on the tire, not a lot of development left. I think those 2 push each other in practice. Those 2 push each other in meetings. I think they have complementary running styles, so they learn from each other and what each do well. So I think all those things factor, but I think a lot of times guys want to say, I want to be the featured guy, and that sounds good in the beginning of the year when you're going through the discussions on whether to come back or not. But then, you get into the season, and the Big Ten is a physical conference that you need somebody to go in as well to share that time with.
Potentially with 4 games too at the end as well.
Correct.
So can you tell me a little bit about each of them individually, what they're best at?
Well, I think Nick has the ability to change the game in a blink of an eye, kind of like our Utah game in the Rose Bowl a few years ago, where he can go 80 at any moment. Was fast in high school, showed up here fast, he's explosive, he's strong. That's one of the things that we've worked really hard on since he decided to come back, is how can we be more explosive? How can we set up the free hitter, whether it's the safety or whoever it may be, make that guy miss and have the ability to go for 80 yards on a more consistent basis. Katron is his physicality and his vision. He just has the ability to set people up. There's times where he'll go run a guy over an open field, and we want him to make that guy miss a little bit more often, but he's just got such a physical running style, and it really it affects our entire team. When our defense sees, our offense playing a physical style behind our offensive line and the way that Katron runs, those are probably the two things that make those two stand out and kind of, like we talk about around here, like it's their superpower. But we're also trying to work hard on these other things.
So with Drew deciding to come back, he obviously has had a ton of experience. We saw him grow as a leader last year. What's that next step for him? What does he need to grow this year with to chase that national championship?
Yes, I get that question a lot, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily one thing. If you look at him all the way from his recruiting process, he got better. From his junior to senior year, significantly. From his senior to his freshman year, and so on and so forth. And I think it's going to be the same thing this year. He needs to continue to get a little bit better in every area. But when you get to this point of your career, getting a little bit better is harder and harder to do, right? The margins, become smaller. So continue to develop as a leader, continue to develop in the run game. I thought that was a big step he took this year, going from 245 to 235 and being able to extend plays with his legs. Obviously continuing to be explosive. We were one of the more explosive teams in the country last year, but we need more of that, specifically in the passing game. And then always, he's done a great job with touchdown to interception ratio, one of the best in the country. We need to continue to build on that. And then completion percentage so that more guys can get touches, we can extend drives, more opportunities to score points, and get more players involved.
So how do you put all of those in a box and have him work on that, and then in the biggest moments too, like when he needs to do all of those things instinctually with the game on the line against an Ohio State?
It's getting better today at practice, making sure that we're maximizing each day. Obviously, they know what they're working for. We don't have to say it's for these moments or these games. They know. So really, it's just about getting better. It's coaching them hard in practice. He does a really good job of living the position and understands how to prepare, so continuing to find ways to do that. And then where can we accent some of his experience? He's going to go do the Manning Passing Academy this summer. I think that'll be a great experience for him. And then I think it's the playmaking and the production around him. We need a few more plays at the wide receiver position. We need to replace the production of Tyler Warren. We need to get our running backs more involved in the passing game. It's all of that. So it's not just Drew. It's how all the pieces of the puzzle fit together.
How are you feeling about the wide receivers and the pass game production that you need to?
Good. We've had a really good spring, a real productive spring. The good thing is the passing game is something you can continue to work on over summer. It's hard to do that with the running game, right? But 7-on-7s and 1-on-1s and just routes on air and things like that, that'll be important. We have a young group of guys that we're really excited about that are starting to develop. We got some transfers in as well, and those guys kind of made an immediate impact this spring. And then we got some older guys as well that have shown some flashes, and we just need consistency. That's the thing, not just at a wide receiver position, but really pretty much every position in major college football. They all have the ability to do it one or two times, and we need them to do it on a consistent basis. And to your point, against the biggest opponents.
So you guys shocked not just the Big Ten, but the country by hiring Jim Knowles a couple days after Ohio State wins a national championship. How big has that hire been for you, and what does Jim bring to Penn State?
Well, first of all, he's been great. He doesn't say a whole lot. He's a man of few words. He's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Went to St. Joe's Prep, one of the more prestigious high schools in the United States. And then obviously we've been able to compete against each other for the last couple of years. When he was at Duke as the defense coordinator, he came and visited us for a couple of days, so that was helpful. But yeah, I think whenever you can go out and increase the talent in the building, whether that is coaches, players, whatever it may be, we want to be aggressive doing that. And when this became a real opportunity with the support of our administration, we were able to get it done. So he's got a unique perspective on the conference. He's got a unique perspective on us. And this spring has been phenomenal.
Is it it's a plus for you guys, but also to take them away from a rival? Does that help?
Well, for us, I'm just focused on trying to get the best people we can in our football building here. Obviously, there's people that are gonna, spin that part of the story, and I get it. It's a fair point, but that was not the reason for it. It just came down to one of the best defensive coordinators in college football was available, and we made a run at him. The challenge was that when we were looking for one, so was Notre Dame.
Yep.
So was Oklahoma, and then Ohio State trying to keep them. So it made it probably a little bit more challenging than I would have liked. But at the end of the day, I'm really glad he's part of our family and in our building.
You've talked a lot about alignment and how strong it is now at Penn State, and obviously that plays into being able to make a hire like that. What does alignment mean when you talk about it?
Well, I think when you talk about where we're trying to go and what the expectations are, it's almost impossible to do it without it. And when I came to Penn State at a challenging time, with an interim president and an interim AD, I wouldn't necessarily say that was alignment. So we've worked hard to get to this point. Our president, Neely Bendapudi, has been phenomenal. I hope you get a chance to interact with her one day. She's a ball of positive energy. She loves students. She loves teaching. And then obviously being able to go hire Pat Kraft, who played football in the Big Ten. He is a bulldog. He's a bulldozer. He is, everything you want in an athletic director, because you feel like he's in the foxhole with you trying to get these things done. And it's just been a lot more yeses to maybe small things, but those small things add up, just like those small no's add up too. So that's what it's all about. And for us to go where we want to go, it can't be just this building trying to get there. We need alignment from the very top.
Do you think that you guys now have the best coordinators in the country?
I think we're a part of the conversation of the best football staff in the country with the best coordinators. Obviously, Andy Kotelnicki came in and did a great job for us out of Kansas. Obviously, hiring Jim Knowles and what he was able to do, one of the most impressive 2-year stretches of a defensive coordinator statistically. And then a guy that people are not talking about enough is Justin Lustig, our special teams coordinator. Has done a great job and has got a phenomenal resume. And then the assistants have been phenomenal. So I'm very proud of the staff that we've been able to put together, that we've been able to develop, that we've been able to hire, and we've been able to retain.
Great staff, veteran players returning. We've seen Michigan and Ohio State do that and win national championships. Is it trying to take a little bit of a page out of that playbook as you guys reload for this season?
Well, I think you're always trying to learn from your own program. You're trying to learn from your own experiences. But yeah, then I think you're also trying to kind of look at what's going on in the NFL, learn from that. Obviously, being where we're at and having Philadelphia just won the Super Bowl, there's helpful experiences to learn from them. And then also teams in our conference and nationally as well. You need to be studying best practice so that you can figure out what's best for Penn State and our community and our university. And all of that is a factor.
What's the biggest lesson you've taken from the Eagles or where the NFL is?
Well, obviously, right now, college football is as close as it's ever been to the NFL and professional sports. But I think you look at the Eagles, and I think that's a great example of alignment. Last year, could make some arguments that maybe they had some challenges, and they stick together. They double down on the things that they believe in, and make a phenomenal run for the city of Philadelphia and the state of Pennsylvania. And I think there's also just a ton of examples, whether it's Saquon or their head football coach, just people that are authentic leaders. They're comfortable in their own skin and how they do it. And I think that's as important of this process as anything, is people being comfortable in their own skin and leading and being aggressive from the front.
You mentioned how you don't really have to tell the players what they're playing for, what they're working towards. So is there still pressure with you guys trying to take that next step, win those big games, win Big Ten championships, national championships, or is that more outside the program?
Yeah, I think it's more outside. I mean, I'm not going to act like there's no pressure. Nobody feels that. That would not be That would not be being transparent. But I would also say, like, if you're living a lifestyle as the head coach and you feel the pressure all the time, then you probably shouldn't be the head coach. If you're the starting quarterback at Penn State and you're constantly feeling that pressure, then you probably shouldn't be the quarterback at Penn State, right? Like, there's just part of that when you decide to come to a place like Penn State, this is what comes with it, right? You don't fill up a 107,000 seat stadium consistently like we do without people being passionate and fanatical, right? So this is why you chose Penn State. This is why I came here as the head coach, to have these type of opportunities and playing these type of games, and it's the same way our players. And I think every once in a while you need to be reminded by this, right? We chose this, and I think that's an important reminder for all of us.
So when you're talking to fans, when you're talking to alumni about this upcoming season, and everyone knows what's at stake and how loaded you guys are, what do you tell them?
The same thing I've been saying for 15 years as a head coach is 1-0 and Nevada. That's really all that matters. Everybody wants to point at the games on the schedule they think are important. Lose to Nevada and find out how important that game is, right? So we just want to get better every single day. We want to focus on the task at hand. It's fine to have conversations about where we want to go and what our goals are, but after that, we don't spend a whole lot of time talking about it. It's just what can we do to put us in the best position to achieve those things on a day-to-day basis.
When you go through those moments like last year, is it tough being so close and not getting over that hump?
Well, I think that is probably, one of our challenges, right? We've been one of the more consistent teams in college football over the last 2 to 3 years. We've been one of the most consistent programs in the country over the last 9 years. If you look at the run in the last 9 years, we haven't had this type of consistency since the late 70s. So we're very, very proud of that. But I also think those close losses can be really difficult for the fan base and alumni to deal with because you feel so close. So there are positives that come from that, but there are challenges. And for us, we're going to focus on the positives and then continue to say, what are some of the decisions that we need to make? How can we be strategic in the hires and the people, in the schemes to put our university and our players and our athletic department in the best position to be successful?
It's kind of like what you're saying about Drew. Like when you've done 97% of the work, it's hard to get that 98%. It's like those are the margins that we're talking about.
Correct. And you are fighting, scratching, clawing to get there. It's hard for programs outside of the top 25 to get into the top 25. You get in the top 25, it's hard to get into the top 15. But I would make the argument when you get up into the top 4 to 5 teams in college football, those gaps between the top 4 and 5 and the top 15 is much more significant than any other area that you're trying to, get to.
It's funny. I was watching Rory McIlroy at the Masters, kind of like avenge, a place that had tough losses and like the catharsis there. A, did you watch that? And B, did you see that's what it's going to be like when Penn State, eventually gets it done here?
Yeah, we did watch it. I did watch it. I think most people did because you just saw, how it was finishing up and how exciting it was. But yeah, those are the moments that I think everybody loves about sports, right? To see an unbelievable match, an unbelievable game, whatever it may be, overcome adversity and find a way to have success. So I think, that's kind of why people love sports. I think to see these types of stories play out.
So you guys had experience playing multiple rounds of the expanded playoff. Do you think it's easier or harder to win a national championship with this format?
I think it depends on which school you are and how the thing plays out. I think I will say this. Playing the longest season in Penn State history was 16 games. That was new for everybody, right? Possibility of 17-game season if you play in a championship game and things like that. So there are some definite challenges, but what it does is it creates opportunities for so many more teams to make a run at this. And I also think it allows the regular season more teams to still be in the thick of this. So I think that's been really good for the sport. And I think people were concerned about that. Would it devalue the regular season? I actually think it did the opposite. So I think that's been great. But it's hard for me to say. I think at the end of the day, you got more teams in, so there's more opportunities. But there's also a lot more games. So it is a grind. I think our team will really gain value from the experience of going through it before. And not only that, we had, I think, 12 mid-semester true freshmen that showed up on campus and went to the Fiesta Bowl. So them being there and maybe not contributing, but being a part of it, there's going to be value in that too.
Did you guys feel pressure? I mean, you guys are like the poster child for the expanded playoff, the team that would have been in it the most out of anyone else. I mean, I'm sure you got sick of that, being that way.
Well, again, I think it just depends on your lens, right? There's a lot of programs in the country that would die to be in the positions that we've been in, but there's no doubt that we embrace and understand and respect what's next for us. And again, that's why you chose Penn State, and that's why you came to a place like this.
If you guys finish the job, check off all those boxes, Big Ten championship, national championship, you're a guy who coached at Vanderbilt and took on this challenge, got the job done. Like, how would you look back on yourself?
Well, most importantly, I'd be happy for our players and the staff and the university and all the people that have put so much into this, our lettermen. So I feel very proud for all of those people, but also, a sense of accomplishment. What we've been able to do with our time at Vanderbilt, like you mentioned, and then to be able to come to Penn State at a challenging time and change the narrative pretty quickly. We respect and appreciate those things and understand how hard they are. That next step would allow people to just embrace our entire journey, which I think is worthwhile.
When you said that it's like this is what you sign up for, like it's hard and there's a lot of attention and expectation. When you think back about when you took the job to now, did anything surprise you about that or about this place?
Oh yeah, I mean, again, you remember when I took the job, there was a ton of surprises, right? There was a ton of things that you had to work through. This college football model is very different now with the transfer portal. We didn't have that ability to fix our roster overnight. So yeah, there was a ton of challenges, a ton of things that we had to overcome. But I think that's what makes it so rewarding, right? That's why you do it, and that's why we took on the opportunity and took on the challenge. So yeah, tremendous sense of pride in all of those things. And again, that's where, when we have the ability to finish the job, then I think that complete story can be told and recognized.